Hello and welcome to another episode of Ignite Creators. We're here at Goa Fest and joining us in Goa Cast today is Ram Madhvani. Thank you so much for giving us your time.
Yeah.
So, since we're in Goa, we'll just drop the intros and formalities and just get into our conversation. You've done a lot of work across feature films, web series, short films. So,
And advertising.
And advertising, of course, that's what we're all here for. How would you say you adapt your storytelling process across different formats?
I'm one of those boring people who actually writes things down and then sort of articulates them and then analyzes them and all of that. So I'm going to tell you, here are 4 ways in which I have learned and how I apply it over all these formats. Okay, so one is in advertising, I was taught what to say, then I was taught how to say it, then I was taught who to say it to. So my target audience, etc., what the brand should say. And the other thing that I was taught in advertising is how should it make you feel. And these 4 things are unchanging, whether I'm doing a series or a film or advertising, where at the end of the day, this Ras that I'm trying to predict, if I can predict the feeling that you should have at the end of the ad, at the end of the film, at the end of the series, then I am in the business where what I'm doing is I'm predicting the feeling that you should have. And that's one of the riyas that I do in advertising, because I am in the business of feelings.
Yeah, definitely.
So really this doesn't change when you put it in this kind of a way, because let's say what I'm meant to say is my theme. Who I'm meant to be speaking to is really my target audience, whether I'm doing Nirja, Arya or Happydent or Airtel or whatever it is, right? I'm very clear what my target audience is, and a lot of the time my target audience in advertising and in series and movies, at least for our production house, which is both Equinox and Ram Madhvani Films. I'll wait for 30 seconds more while the door shuts. So in Ram Madhvani Films and in Equinox, what we do want to do is reach out. One of the things that I have been thankful enough in advertising is that I did some ads that became part of popular culture, where public ne dekh ke boli, "Arey wo ad dekhi kya?" Okay, and I think that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's not as if wo movie dekhi ya wo series dekhi, wo ad dekhi, and therefore I want to reach out where I say I want to reach out to Klasaji and Mausaji. I want to make it 4 quadrant. In fact, not just 4 quadrant. That's young, old, male, female. I want to make it 6 quadrant, which is north, south. I want to make it 8 quadrant, which is international Indian. And so all these quadrants I want to therefore reach out to.
Yeah.
So what do I want to say is my theme. Who do I want to reach out to? I do reach out to the families. I want TVs are in living rooms. They're not in bedrooms. And therefore I'm interested in everybody in the family watching what I put out. And how should I make you feel is really the very job.
So we wanted to ask you, about your creative process as well, right? Like from the idea to the final frame, and it seems like that capturing that feeling is kind of the central theme for you. So where does that feeling really peak for you in your process, do you think?
One thing is that it's very difficult to identify that feeling. You have to turn around and say, इसमें आपका expression क्या होना चाहिए? आप रोएगे या आप हंसेगे या आपको डर लगना चाहिए? So first you have to identify what that ras is, whether it's shringar or whether it is hasya or whatever those rasas are from the nav rasas, okay? Or whether, which is the 9th rasa, is actually, sorry, I'm going to pakao everybody with this conversation, but I did a course in Indian aesthetics at the Bombay University because I was interested in the Natya Shastra, and the 9th rasa only came in the 16th century in India, okay, which is by a man called Abhinav Gupta, who basically said that we had 8 rasas, but the 9th rasa is the peak of all rasas, which is Shantata. And so do I want to actually make you have peace? And so these are, first you have to identify the ras. Okay, then you have to figure out the methods with which you, and sometimes that if it is blatant button pressing, then obviously people get disappointed, because sometimes you see a movie, you cry, and then you come out of the movie and you say, "Arey yaar, it was manipulative." Huh? But there are other movies that stay with you. And one of the successes that I've had is in Nirja, where I could predict what people should feel. I said, "Jab light on hogi, when you're going to get up from your seat, what should that expression be on your face? And I was able to predict that expression, and then I was happy when people, because in advertising what happens is when I present an ad, they get 30-40 people from the like secretary, accounts people, and they get people into it after I present it to the main client. And I show it in the conference room, and then that 30-40 people come and they say, ad kaisi lagi ad, okay, to their own team, okay. And that's my litmus test. Because if I can then look at that expression of those people and I can say, ha, ye abhi dil ko, yeah, what I expected, which was to connect with your heart, has happened. But that is now, how do you do that? Okay, so first, now I'm just going to break it down for a bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'd love as deep as you go. Well, we'll enjoy that.
So I'm going to do a little bit of X-ray on the process of how do you manufacture feelings. आप कौन सी बिजनेस में हो? अच्छा मैं तो इंडस्ट्री में हूँ, मैं मैन्युफैक्चर करता हूँ. अच्छा क्या मैन्युफैक्चर करते हो आप? मैं मैं इमोशन मैन्युफैक्चर करता हूँ.
Yeah.
I'm in the manufacturing business.
Yeah.
The only thing is that I'm manufacturing something that is not necessarily an industry. Is something which is, even though I can X-ray vision it, it is alchemy. And I can fail in the making of that feeling. And I think one of the ways that certainly, so one, first identify it. This is the feeling that you're after.
Yeah.
Okay. Second is, after you identify it, which is very, very difficult to do, by the way, okay, because it takes a lot of head banging to understand. And then the next thing that you do is that when you're actually narrating it, you begin to understand. In Nirja, while you're narrating the script itself, you begin to understand, are people crying? In a comedy film that I want to do, I begin to understand, are people laughing? So this is my test. And so in the script and in advertising, I know immediately that jab wo idea narrate, and this is a narration thing, this is not a reading thing, okay, because we come from the oral tradition. I have to tell it to you. When I tell you that story, I should immediately know whether the intended feeling has happened like that, in the energy that has been exchanged. But you have to have that thermometer, and you have to have the stethoscope to understand or to be listening to that feeling. Okay, so that's, now what happens is that, okay, so you now at least have it on paper, therefore it is director proof. It is actor proof. Once, and now what happens is that, okay, so you've got it till here. Now comes this X factor, right, which is when you finally make it. Did you actually arrive at that feeling? And how do you know whether you have arrived at it or not? And this is where failure happens. Now, the problem with failure is that it's very expensive to go out there and sort of remake knowing that it's a failure. Or you were not able to, sort of get to that feeling. And in my own experience, what I try and do is my first screening, whether it's like, let's say, the first rough cut is when I know that is this happening or not. And that's something that I have to really work at, because I've obviously now spent maybe 5 years, like now we've made The Waking of a Nation, which is on Sony Live, which is on the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. It's taken us 5 years to make it, and it's a 6-episode series. That first time that I see it, after the rough cut has happened, I have to really that day be receptive to whether I think that that feeling that I'm feeling is something that you will feel. Now, this is where, and if you don't, supposing you don't, now there are two ways I can figure that out. One is obviously after it's released. But I know when I'm showing it to people, because I will show it to people, because I believe in some kind of research. I come from advertising, so I like research, okay? So I'll show to 30, 40, 50 people to say, aapko kaisa lagta hai, kya hua, etc. So I'll show to 30, 40 people, I'll ask them what they felt. But now the problem is, I'm trying to see if I can keep aside a week, maybe 3 days to reshoot. And that's my sort of way to try and course correct it. So there are directors who sometimes keep 2 weeks aside of the budget to reshoot stuff. This is Pixar, for instance, when they're making stuff, they have redone it. They've done it over 5 years. By the time Toy Story is out, they've done it as like, different stages. They've looked at it, they've course corrected it, they've, sort of, and then by the time it's out, it's messy. It's not as if it's scientific. कि आपने ये बनाया, हो गया. I've never understood how people can make something and think, चलो हो गया, shooting खत्म हो गया, खत्म.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to see how I can put a budget for reshooting. And that reshooting is not, this is the natural part of our process.
And do you think there's a difference between feedback and failure in your work?
Well, the consequences of failure is a different thing altogether because you're constantly searching for validation.
Yeah.
And because I'm only as good as you think I am.
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't think I'm good, I'm not good. Now, how therefore am I, my self-worth, is it measured by you? Is a whole new conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pakao you with that. That's another subject altogether, which is how do you deal with not the feedback so much as the fact that you were not able to perhaps reach out. Because I'm not here making it for myself.
Yeah.
I'm here making it for a mass collective emotion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want everybody to feel.
Yeah.
Okay, and because I did an indie movie which was called Let's Talk, which was one of the first movies that I did. It had two people talking in a room, and Baman Irani was part of that, and it was his first film, and it was in English, and I realized that even though it got its acclaim and it went to film festivals, and I'm very, very, very proud of that film, but I realized that actually it was a little too indie and it was a little too experimental, and not too many people could access it.
Yeah.
And so now I want people to access the work, and I'm trying to see how to straddle the tightrope of being commercial and experimental.
Yeah. No, but
which is now I've got my quadrant 9 and 10.
Yeah.
Old, young, male, female, north, south, international, Indian, experimental, commercial.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm feeling like Ravan with 10 heads.
Yeah. But you said you don't want to bore me with that, but that was a question I was going to ask, which is like, see, there is valuable feedback in failure, right? And the whole point of being a creative is to not stop. Like, you take your pauses, you take the space you need, but you just keep going on, because when you stop is when the potential great work that comes from you stops. So how do you take feedback of failure without being emotional, or being emotional but without it impeding you from wanting to continue to create?
First of all, I must say thank you. That's a great question. Okay, I think that in this mountain that we're all climbing, in the professions that we are doing, the very nature of that mountain is landslides and is minus 40-degree temperature and frostbite. There is no clothing that you can wear which is going to protect you from that. So in what I try and do for myself, apart from speaking philosophically in this nice kind of manner, is I schedule my feeling. So I say, oh gosh, it didn't work. Give yourself 7 days, for 24 hours, whatever that you want to give yourself. So one of the things that I do is I schedule it. The other thing that I'm now beginning to use as a force of protection is humor. Okay.
It's powerful.
Yeah, it's a huge force. Okay, and because otherwise, what happens is that the self doubt, anxiety, I'm no good. I'll never be able to get work again. I don't think I'll ever be able to make what I, my potential is, are all normal parts of the climbing of this mountain. It's a daily thing. It's not as if like, it's not something that, I am certainly not made of that skin. Some people may be made of that skin. So the forces that I use are, one, scheduling, the other is humor. The third that I've heard people, or at least I've seen people use in the film industry, is that they इफ़ यू मेक अ हिट नो, उनका जो बैटरी जो है ना, वो हिट का जो एनर्जी जो है ना, वो बैटरी का एनर्जी वो लोग अपना चार्ज में रख लेते हैं। तो जब फेलियर होता है ना, तो वो लोग वो बैटरी का चार्ज,
बैटरी
रिजर्व बैटरी से वो लोग चार्ज कर लेते हैं। दैट डज मेक देम समटाइम्स इगोइस्टिकल, बट आई एम सेल्फ क्रिटिकल बाय नेचर, एंड देयरफॉर आई एम नॉट एबल टू यूज दिस थर्ड thing. I have had, if you look at the 4 kinds of successes that, I'm sorry, I was breaking out to 2, 4, 8, whatever, but sorry, this is the way I work. But as you can see from the work itself, it's not academic. The work is heartfelt. But to get to the work that is heartfelt, I do think it through.
Yeah.
So out of the 4 successes, there's personal, there is commercial, there is popular, there's critical. I have had the opportunity of having some of these and all of these. But when I do get failure, then what happens is that I'm not able to take my charge from those successes. And उधर से मैंने connection डाल के वो जो battery pack जो मेरा है, वो मेरा battery pack I'm not able to connect to.
I feel that, like for me personally as a creative, the charge that you get from positive reception, and let's say the discharge that you get from negative reception feel like two sides of the same coin. Like I shouldn't let myself get too affected by everything on the outside, because it kind of loses your internal compass. But then on the other hand, like as you with your work, like as you said, you're not making it for yourself, you're making it for a mass audience to elicit with. It's this very fine-tuned balance of seeing what do you want to reflect and absorb, and where do you stay true to yourself.
And to listen in a state of when you're disheartened or dispirited versus when you're elated are both stages of listening where you know that, and you know yourself aware enough about it to know that neither states of listening are the right states of listening. Neither, when I keep telling, sort of, let's say when I'm speaking to my wife, I'm saying, like, let's not make a decision when we are in the midst of any typhoon that has hit us. Because you're not, so if there is a failure is a typhoon, right? And you're not going to be able to make any correct emotional decision when you're in the midst of a typhoon. I do go for a retreat, which is a health retreat. So there are certain things that I do which are, let's say, humor, let's say scheduling, let's say retreats, let's say meditation. So there are 4 or 5, 6 things that you can do, which you must put into practice. Not that what you must do, I mean, I don't care whatever I do or I try and do. And I'm not here to tell anybody what to do, but I'm just, because you're asking, I'm just saying these are what I have done. Whether they work for other people, I mean, alcohol may work for other people, substance abuse may work for some other people, I don't know.
But that's good to hear. So, I wanted to swing back towards advertising again. Something you said is, I wanted to ask you, like, what in advertising, what is the line between manipulating emotions and eliciting and connecting with emotions of the audience?
I think people are smart. They know. When you're pressing that button, they are aware that you're pressing that button. And I think that I would give them a lot of credit. I would give my audience a lot of credit. They know when something is real. They know when something is fake. They yet may go for it, they yet may like it, but they know what is real and what is fake. They're aware about that. And actually, you also know it. You, wo dikhta hai.
So what would be some advice that you would give to like advertisers or marketers who are the ones driving these, right? Like, what is a principle or a practice to know when you are being authentic, or know that you're like, really wanting to connect in a core way and not getting swayed by a trend or, like a pressing urgency?
Intention. You can tell in the conversations that are happening. I yet may do the ad, but I've understood the intention of the people who are actually having those conversations. And I think it's very important, because I'm currently in advertising somebody who is in a way low down the order. There is the client, there is the creative director, and then there is the filmmaker. And I have to be very clear that I am in service of. I'm not here doing my own thing.
Yeah.
I'm here trying to do what they want, and yet trying to make sure that I'm here listening to not just what the brief is, but what those soft conversations are, which are there in the room about what those intentions are. A lot of the time, I'm trying to figure culture. And so even if I'm working with people, I'm trying to understand लोग कैसे हैं, अच्छा उनका intention क्या है, अच्छा ये जो मैं जब present करूँगा, will they be, is this the right thing that I will, because I'm eventually presenting it to my first audience, and my first audience is my client. And if that is what that intention is, I have to meet that intention.
And that word intention that you said, right? So, I mean, even kind of on a personal note, like, you know, what is your advice for like people, like young people who are just starting out their career? See, everyone wants to make it, everyone wants to be helpful, everyone wants to feel like they belong. But as you go through it, you realize that, you know, maybe your intention that goes behind your work doesn't align with the people around you or the spaces you found yourself in. So, what is a way to course correct to keep going and trying to be as true to your intention as possible?
You know, I just gave sort of I didn't call it a master's class, I call it a learner's class. And I was speaking about something which is, I'll tell you in 30 seconds, which is which I took half an hour over there. It's from a book by Joseph Campbell called The Hero's Journey, and I'm not allowed to say hero's journey. I have to say hero's journey, or I have to be non-gender specific, but Joseph Campbell said hero's journey, so I'll speak about it. But it has 6 stages, okay? Stage 1 is the calling, which is I want to do this, and that's part of your intention. Let's say you may want to be a chef. But stage 2 is the denial. And denial is basically, oh, I can't be a chef, I have to do this, and you know, I don't know how to cook and all that, or my family says no, or my EMI says no. And stage 3, if you get through denial, 90% don't get through denial, you get to the road of trials. And in your road of trials is where it's hard, it's messy. Okay, and therefore these intentions that you perhaps set to, which was part of your calling, which you said, no, I know this dunya aisi nahi hai, etc., that's denial, and then you say, okay, I'm going to try it, and let me go out there and walk it. And then in the road of trials, you get slapped. There's many things that happen, and then it's part of the journey of these stages, and you come. That brings you self-knowledge.
Yeah.
That self-knowledge is what you're actually trying to get to. But to get to self-knowledge, you have to go through all of this, and then you get to a feeling of coming home. I belong, you know, and that's stage 5, and then you begin to get to stage 6, which is passing it on, which is very important, because you then need to tell other people that ye hai, aisi journey hai, aisa hoga.
Yeah.
Intentions are to be shaken, they are to be tested, they are to be slapped, they are to be asked, they are to be questioned, they are to be actually, intentions need to live.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah, I think that's just a realization you come to eventually, which is just the point isn't just to live life without any challenges. The point is to test out the challenges and keep going on.
Well, you know, I don't think there is an option.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
I mean, if you, I wish there was an option. Kuch nahi ye hai. It's tough.
Yeah. So, you know, let's start wrapping up our talk with a few rapid fire questions that I wanted to get from you. We talked about this a bit, but you know, what is the biggest lesson that you've learned from failure?
You know, our grandmothers used to, and our mothers used to keep these keys to the Godrej kapat, right? They used to, it's in North India they call it a like gucha or whatever, you know, and they used to keep it in their saris.
Potli, I think, right?
You remember they used to have that hook?
Yeah.
And then those keys, they never gave to anybody. That Godrej kapat, when they opened, the things from there, which, like, you know, after my mother passed away, I found chewing gum, okay, which she had kept, or chocolates that she had kept. And that's where your mother kept stuff. Okay, वो Godrej kapat था साड़ी के पीछे. But those keys she didn't give. I'm learning how to keep those keys of motivation, inspiration, creativity to myself. I'm not going to hand those keys to you.
Interesting.
So that's basically what I'm in the practice of trying to do, because there are enough people out there who are trying to take my keys away.
Yeah, yeah.
वो लोग छीन रहे ये keys. They like sometimes I'm sure when my mother had those keys because उसमें तिजोरी भी थी ना. So there must have been enough people in this joint family.
Yeah, yeah.
But she kept it to herself.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep these to myself.
Yeah, yeah. That's such a core part of being a creative, is being very protective of. I mean, people call it their soul, or you identify whatever it is. But
And the other thing which I just said in an interview, which you don't have to use given the audience, but I am trying very hard to put a condom on my soul.
okay, interesting analogy. Yeah. Okay, maybe we'll use it for a soundbite.
Okay, done.
Yeah. So, on to our next question, right?
Yeah.
So, what is your unpopular opinion on storytelling?
Oh gosh, the unpopular opinion on storytelling is that people seem to know. कहानी बेकार थी, एडिटिंग खराब था, अरे फोटोग्राफी कितना खराब है. Everybody has now an opinion about that story, and therefore I'm getting worried that have people started getting indoctrinated into the way stories should be told. And are we not accepting something where you say नहीं भाई कहानी ऐसी ही बोली जाती है. And I'm so frustrated by that notion, but I'm practicing it, and I think that this is also the handcuffs of a sort of Western way of telling, that this is how stories are told.
Yeah.
And there is a certain system to that, and I'm following it, and I find sometimes now, much against my will, when I see a movie that does not follow it, I do not respond to it in the same way that when a movie does follow it. So it is my unpopular opinion, and it is my sort of out there, the thing that this is what they do, but there is something there which I feel when Aristotle wrote Poetics, that was a Western way of telling, but in our Natya Shastra there are other ways of telling, and I'm sort of feeling that I'm getting indoctrinated into the Western way of telling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And what would you say will separate enduring creators from viral ones 5 years from now?
I think fear.
Okay.
Is the person scared about being relevant and reinventing and being part of this whole journey? I am scared. I want to, therefore, I'm scared that I won't have work. Not because of money, but because this is the path that I chose to live my life.
Yeah.
And so if somebody takes that away from me, for whatever reason, then I don't know what to do with my life.
Yeah.
So that's the fear that is actually, the anxiety is not from, if you have that anxiety, then I think it will last, and you will last.
Yeah, a healthy sense of paranoia.
Yeah, and of just making sure that you are, the path that you chose to do is the path that you didn't choose, hopefully, lightheartedly. I mean, you did choose the path. Then in which case, to walk that path, and if you're not allowed to walk that path for whatever reasons, then that should lead to some fear.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that again in a negative way. I don't mean that in a bad way. I do mean that in a way in which it's not as if all fear, all anxiety is, these are all motivators also, and they're debilitators also. It depends on how you, sort of, when they said, may the force be with you, these are the forces that you have to shape.
Yeah.
I think anger is a force. It depends on how that is used. I think anxiety is a force. These are all forces that you have to, sort of breathe into and actually shape for yourself in a daily, constant kind of way. And as much as I'm aware of that, the practicing of that is a lifetime occupation.
Yeah, as you said, I mean, it's just not, it's not really a choice, right? This is life. You just have to go
you have to
through
do
it
it. And
every
also,
day.
what happens? I think that one of the things that I've learned is that when you're actually, I mean, is there going to be an end? When will that feeling, or when will that checklist, when will that, is it all like, what is that tick mark? And is that tick mark death?
Yeah.
Are you ever going to get to a point where you have achieved, whoever has,
Yeah.
this nirvana.
This is enough.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
enough, or this is what I feel, or
Yeah, yeah.
that's something which I have had. My wife's father, who was a freedom fighter, an Ayurvedic doctor, and also somebody, a Sanskrit scholar. And there was a feeling that I received from him where I felt that he had reached an equanimity. He had reached a certain equilibrium. And even from my guru, my Ashwantru Ghoshal, and his father, Mr. Subhash Ghoshal, who was the head of HTA, I felt those feelings that they were of a being, and I'm trying to see how I can be of that being, or I can be my better self.
Yeah.
That's my objective. I remember my school report, which said, Ram is a sincere boy, but he can do better.
Those things really stick with
I
you,
swear
right?
it.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether I'll ever get there, or I'm always trying to be better.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. But yeah, in the pursuit of that, we get to have great work from creatives like you. So,
And sometimes not so great work. We're all, at it and trying to do work, and let's struggling away to make it happen.
yeah, but
So,
we're glad that you still
thank
keep
you.
trying. Yeah. So thank you so much,
No,
for
thank you. It's
spending
been
your
a
time
lovely
with
conversation. I'm so happy we could do it, and sorry
Yeah.
to keep you waiting.
No, of course not.
But I think I'm hoping it was worth your while.
Definitely.
It's a conversation at least that we had.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us.